على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
الحمد لله ثم الحمد لله. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين، والصلاة والسلام على خير البرية نبينا محمد الصادق الوعد الأمين، وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين وأصحابه الكرام ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ولا نذير له ولا مثال له، وأشهد أن سيدنا وسندنا ومولانا محمدا عبده وحبيبه ورسوله، بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح للأمة وجاهد في سبيل الله حق جهاده حتى أتاه اليقين. فاللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وعلى أصحاب سيدنا محمد وعلى أزواج سيدنا محمد وعلى ذرية سيدنا محمد وسلم تسليما كثيرا يا رب العالمين. أما بعد، فيا عباد الله، أوصيكم ونفسي الخاطئة بتقوى الله وطاعته. إن الله مع الذين اتقوا والذين هم محسنون. يقول الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم: يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن جاءكم فاسق بنبأ فتبينوا أن تصيبوا قوما على جهال فتصبحوا على ما فعلتم نادمين. In جاءكم فاسق, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran says, a very important ayah in Surah Al-Hujurat: إن جاءكم فاسق بنبأ فتبينوا أن تصيبوا قوما بجهالة فتصبحوا على ما فعلتم نادمين واعلموا أن فيكم رسول الله لو يطيعكم في كثير من الأمر لعنتم ولكن الله حبب إليكم الإيمان وزينه في قلوبكم وكره إليكم الكفر والفسوق والعصيان أولئك هم الراشدون. I will be mentioning today a few very important ayahs from Surah Al-Hujurat, in where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches His Prophet, teaches His companions at that time when the ayahs were revealed, some not only ethical parts or ethical matters, but also the way how we should think and the way how should we analyze situations that we're in. Often, many problems that pop up in society or between individuals themselves is a result of us not being able to really understand the situation, not being able to understand the person who we are conversating with, and of course, not being familiar with the guidelines that are mentioned in the Book of God and in the Sunnah of His beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Therefore, because of all of these obstacles, we end up either being wronged by other people or wronging the others. And that eventually gets us in trouble. How can we avoid this? Let me begin by mentioning a story during the life of our blessed Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam. Walid bin Uqba was one of the companions of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wassalam. However, he made a major mistake. We love the companions overall, and we consider that generation to be the best of generations, but we do not claim that the companions made no mistakes. We do not claim that companions did not even sin. Even Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam made mistakes, but those mistakes were not into a level of a sin. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, we believe, according to our aqidah, we believe that the Nabi and all of the Anbiyas were Rusul, they had this isma, they had this protection from Allah Azza wa Jalla that kept them away from sinning. And again, in order to be a perfect role model, you need to be somebody who is purified. Not necessarily depending on that purification from yourself or other people to purify you, but the best and the complete purification, it is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So since these were the best of the people, the most pure of the people, the prophets and the messengers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took it upon himself to purify and to keep these individuals away from sin. However, when it comes to the companions who were the best of the humankind as a generation, again, we do not claim about them that they did not sin. They did sin. But overall, they were the best. And of course, you had some who were more pure than the others. You had some who were more righteous than the others. Like it might be the case even nowadays. Some people, they sin less than the others. Some people are more righteous than the other people. Even though they may all have faith in their hearts. But the level of sin or the level of purity within their hearts, it differs. Why am I saying this? Because we are coming through this ayah of the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala criticizes the mistake of this particular companion of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So, Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam sends this person with a message, Walid bin Uqba, and he says, go to Bani Mustaliq and ask for them the sadaqat. There are a few narrations in regards to the reason why Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam sent Walid, but one of these reasons is in order to collect the zakat, in order to collect the donations. The other narration mentions that to reaffirm their Islam. But the most popular version is to collect from them the donation. So as he is going there, according to a narration, it is mentioned that Shaitan was the one to whisper to this companion and make him feel that the moment he is going to arrive to Bani Mustaliq, he is going to be fought by them. He is going to be killed by them. In another narration of Ad-Dahhak, when he goes into the tafsir of this particular ayah, he says that he had before, prior to Islam, during the days of Jahiliyyah, he had a conflict with some of these tribe members. And even though he is sent by Nabi ﷺ to collect the money, or to collect the wealth, whatever the case might have been, he felt that these people, when he arrives there, they're going to fight him and they're going to kill him. So he decided to return back and make up a story. He came back to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he said that they did not want to give the zakat and they were about to murder me. He did not even arrive there. So, tribe members from Bani Mustaliq, they were waiting for for the Rasul of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, for the messenger of God to arrive there to communicate with him and to give whatever he came there for. I mean, with the responsibility or the request. They were ready to fulfill his request because it was a request of a Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam. So they have heard about this one. They were informed that he is about to come for that. During the same time now, and Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam is reacting by getting ready to go and solve the problem with them and even prepare people to fight if that is necessary. As he's doing that, you have two things happening. An ayah from the Quran comes down instructing the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam and the companions to relook at the situation, to analyze the situation, and also to pinpoint where the fault is. Second thing that's happening at the same time, you have delegates from Bani Mustaliq who are coming to Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam to tell him, Ya Rasulullah, what happened to the messenger that you were about to send? They come to him and they say, nothing, this is not true. We did not even receive Walid. He did not even come. So this is a made up in his mind. He made up this. And the ayah says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, it confirms that Walid did not even go there by saying, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu in ja'akum fasiqun binaba fatabayyanu. O you who believe, if somebody who commits sin, if a sinner, because in this case he actually committed a sin. Fasiq, and this is it can be used even for criminals. It is a very heavy word, especially towards a Muslim. But there is a possibility for somebody to have faith, but at the same time to be a fasiq. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from that. Or it could be a state that a person can be for a short period of time or for a long period of time. And that person may get out of that state of fusuq. Fusuq is not kufr, it's not shirk for sure. But it is a deep state of a major mistake that somebody may make. And it is not nifaq either, because often people they mix these terms. Kufr, nifaq, fusuq. So nifaq is hypocrisy, which is another deeper level of fusuq or fisq. So the ayah said, oh you who believe, if a fasiq comes to you with news, with information, telling you about something that you don't know, فَتَبَيَّنُوا. Make sure that you analyze that. Make sure that you have a clear idea about what he or she is saying. Do not jump into a conclusion. Do not be reactionary right away. And Nabi ﷺ was about to depart. He was about to take an action towards them. So the Quran here is also instructing Nabi ﷺ by saying, فَتَبَيَّنُوا, commanding, make sure that you are analyzing the situation and you are clear about the intentions of the other party. Don't jump into a conclusion. Don't be reactionary. Now, many of us, we think that, well, that is the Prophet and we're dealing here with a tribe and with a society or with a large group of people. How can these be applicable to me personally? And that is easy as well. We can take it from a personal level where another person comes to you and tells you, X person said this and that, and right away you believe that person, who may not necessarily be very credential, may not have credentials. When I'm talking about credential, I mean trust, right? May not be necessarily very trusted person, or maybe a person who talks about the others as well all the time, and فَتَبَيَّنُوا. So make sure that you do not result in wrong conclusions without analyzing the situation, without asking the other person, without checking with another person if possible, if you're not able to check with the first source to begin with. Keeping in mind the husnul dhan, right? The husnul dhan that possibly he heard it wrong, possibly he was frustrated when he said that. It could have been any other reason. Normally that person would not even say that. Benefit of the doubt. Anything so we can avoid the reactionary state, being reactionary individuals, being more mature, analyzing things. And even if the person says something, it was probably during the time when he got upset, and maybe, most likely, if you know that the person will regret that later, don't take it to your heart. Because people change. Are you going to fight people each time that they do a mistake? Allah doesn't do that. خُذِ الْعَفْوَ. Forgive people. Allah forgives people. If you want Allah to forgive you, then forgive people as well. That's also another way to keep you from becoming reactionary individual. And here I'm not saying that we should not react in a mature way when it is necessary. Definitely we should do that. I'm not saying that we should be all forgiving in every single case, because we can oppress ourselves or we can oppress other people when we do that during the wrong times, right? We need to take some steps when it is necessary. But overall, we can avoid a lot of problems between each other, between the families, between relatives, between friends, between co-workers, by simply analyzing, being mature, and at the same time making sure that we got the evidence. And if possible, forgive. Even if we get the evidence, forgive if possible. So, فَتَبَيَّنُوا, the Quran says, make sure that you are getting those details well. Bayan. You have a clarity about the situation. أَن تُصِيبُوا قَوْمًا بِجَهَالَةٍ, the Quran says. Because otherwise, if you do not do that, there might be a possibility that a group of people, some individuals, may be tested, or they may end up in such a scenario where they will be ignorant. They will be in a state of ignorance. A state of ignorance is a state of ghafla, unawareness. You're just doing things because that's how you feel. أن تصيبوا قوما بجهالة فتصبحوا على ما فعلتم نادمين. And you will be among those who will regret for the actions that you took earlier. So when we become reactionary, when we do not analyze things, the Quran is teaching us that we will become regretful. A regretful person is somebody who does a mistake. And it can be even a sin, even a major sin, even a murder. So you do not become among those who regret what happened before. How many people regret? How many people spend their lives in prisons because by a mistake or just because of the whispers of shaitan, they murdered another person? How many people feel for the rest of their life guilt for doing something that was a result of not being able to analyze the situation? A lot of people. And that's what the Quran is teaching us, to avoid these obstacles and do the right thing. Analyze the situation. And then later on it says, وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ فِيكُمْ رَسُولَ اللَّهِ. You have to come to know, the Quran says, you have to realize that with you is the messenger of God. In other words, we cannot afford to joke around. We are establishing a community. You have the best of the messengers sent to you. It is right in front of you. You're dealing with him. He has a very important task on his hands. There is no time for fitna. We cannot afford mistakes. We cannot afford reactionary modes. We cannot afford people not analyzing the situations and doing the right thing, because we are in a critical time. Nabi ﷺ was fighting immoralities, was fighting kufr, was fighting the enemies who wanted him to be gone together with his community. And he had major responsibilities. A small thing could cost a lot. A small mistake could cost a lot. That's why he was saying, وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ فِيكُمْ رَسُولَ اللَّهِ. Come to knowledge, come to awareness. I mean, somebody will say like, how is it وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ فِيكُمْ? يعني نحن نعلم أن فينا رسول الله. We know that amongst us is the messenger of Allah. But it is as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is stressing to them and telling them that, hey, wake up. Like, it is with you the messenger of God. So be aware of this. You have to be really aware. Raise the awareness. Be alert. It's not just a common individual among you. The best of humankind is with you. Take things seriously. Don't be joking around. Don't put fitna around. Don't lie. Don't commit sins, especially in relations with other community members, with another tribe. There was about a war to happen. People were about to be murdered. Well, Imam, how can you relate it to us nowadays? Very easy again. We have communities. And subhanAllah, in America, we are trying to build communities. Not only build walls and masajids, but build hearts, build individuals, build future generations who are going to preserve our values, enhance our values, commit to what they are required to commit according to the Quran and the Sunnah of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Live a righteous life. And we cannot afford those mistakes either. We cannot afford people spreading rumors. We cannot afford people getting themselves into fitna. We cannot afford any of that. We need to move forward. Anything that, if these other issues, they start popping up right and left, then what happens? It cuts or it stops the progress. Always. Always it stops the progress. You are either with the caravan, right, that's going towards a direction. You be a part of it. You help. You initiate things. You volunteer. You do things that can enhance our communities. I'm not talking about just here. Overall in America, in the Western world. And around the world for sure. But in particular in places where we are minorities. You either join the caravan of righteousness and work, hard work, or if you're going to remain behind, and please do not cause problems. At least do not cause problems. But it's just a little, no, that little thing can be very costly. All it takes is, because shaitan is behind that. It's not just you. You have the shaitan behind that. A shaitan waliyuhum. Shaitan becomes their protector, becomes their sheikh. It becomes a sheikh. So, with whispers and all of that stuff. So, again, وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ فِيكُمْ رَسُولَ اللَّهِ. Well, we don't have Rasulullah with us. We definitely have his teachings. We have his sunnah. We have his sunnah. His sunnah is alive. It is as Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam is alive. And we have people who teach the sunnah of Nabi alayhi salatu salam. It is one thing whether we choose to follow or not. And it is another thing to complain and say like, Prophet is not with us. وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ فِيكُمْ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ يعني فيكم سنة رسول الله for us right now. لو يطيعكم في كثير من الأمر لعنتم. If he is about to obey you for many matters that you are acquiring, you will certainly fall into hardship. What does that mean? If he is about to obey you for many matters that you acquire, you will certainly fall into hardship. In other words, if he is going to tell to everybody, yes sir, yes sir, yes ma'am, yes ma'am, then you're going to fall into hardship. Leaders, especially Nabi ﷺ, has a vision. Especially the Prophet ﷺ is receiving this from God. He has a divine revelation that he is going with. Even though receiving that divine revelation, he is still commanded to do a shura. In other words, have a consultation with the believers. But it has a limit. As long as whatever result comes out of a consultation or a meeting with other individuals, it's not going to supersede or go beyond the limits set by the Sharia, by the divine revelation. And we know so many instances where he, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, received this, received the ideas and implemented the ideas of his companions, even though he was receiving the divine revelation. So it gives us that flexibility as believers to consult with one another, not to forget that, especially us who are not prophets and we're not receiving the divine revelation. But at the same time, it teaches us, here is the other nuance here, it teaches us to respect more the command that comes from God and the sunnah of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we can do the right thing. We can depend on that wisdom. We extract the wisdom from these primary sources and result in positive matters or actions that we're about to take. So we consult first with the Quran and the Sunnah, and then after that we move into the conclusion, whether we analyze the situation or other things. So, لو يطيعكم في كثير من الأمر لعنتم. You fall into hardship. How do you fall in hardship? Well, it's very easy. If he is going to tell you yes, 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 you're going to make a lot of mistakes. But since there is a divine revelation, you have to stick with that and you will be on the safe side. So sometimes it's going to go against you. Don't be sad. Don't take it personally. Don't jump into a conclusion. Don't say, oh, he doesn't listen to us. No, because he's instructed with a divine revelation. Other individuals as well in society that are trying to take, matters of the community or develop communities. People who have on their shoulders some important tasks. Do not feel all the time that they have to listen to you and they have to do whatever you say. Why? Because they have a shura as well. And you may not necessarily be a part of that shura. Or they have some objectives that they have lined these objectives according, again, to the divine instructions, to the Quran and the Sunnah of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you may not necessarily be aware of those details. And sometimes may not be a time to give an answer to every single person in details. But you have to trust. That's where, as followers, we trust our leaders, especially if they are sincere and they have good intentions and they put the work, they do hard work. We have to also develop that trust and loyalty towards them as well. Trust, loyalty, work. Otherwise, if everybody becomes a leader and everybody becomes, feels like I'm upset because he did not listen to me, she did not listen to me, and I'm not going to participate anymore, I'm not going to be a part of this anymore, I'm upset because of this reason and that reason, then how can the communities develop? Unless we have red flags. We have leaders with immoral people who are, major sinners. And even in that case, especially for prayers and other things, the deen teaches us that you still pray behind them. Even if you have oppressors, zalimeen, unjust people, you still pray behind them. Why? Because it's important to keep the unity together. To keep the unity together. Again, these are very important principles, brothers and sisters, that unfortunately often we do not talk about. وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ فِيكُمْ رَسُولَ لَوْ يُطِيعُكُمْ فِي كَثِيرٍ مِنَ الْأَمْرِ لَعَنِتُّمْ. All right. And the ayah, and I'll end up with this last part of the ayah. وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ حَبَّبَ إِلَيْكُمُ الْإِيمَانِ. But it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has made Iman, faith, loving to you. What does that mean? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made faith loving to you. In other words, those who are true believers, those who are true sincere individuals, those who are true followers of a Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and these primary sources that we're talking about, the divine revelation, what happens to them? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made Iman beloved to them. So it is not me actually who is, Iman is a gift. Allah is telling us that Iman is a gift right here. And that gift comes as a result of struggle. Brother, I don't know, I cannot feel that Iman that much. What are you doing towards it? It's like saying, I am not able to pay my rent. Are you really working hard? Well, I'm trying to work here and there, but I don't know, I'm not. Well, put more efforts. Maybe you're not putting enough efforts. Brother, I don't. So put efforts in making sure that you are deserving of that precious gift. Iman is the most precious gift that somebody can receive in this world. So you have to deserve it. Allah is not just going to give it to anybody. And He's teaching us in this ayah, وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ حَبَّبَ يعني هو حَبَّبَ إِلَيْكُمْ الْإِيمَانِ وَزَيَّنَهُ فِي قُلُوبِكُمْ. And He did not just simply make it lovable to you, Iman, in your hearts, right? But He also has beautified that in your hearts. What does that mean? Beautifying the Iman in my hearts? If the Iman beautifies your hearts, it beautifies your character. If your character is beautified by Iman, your actions are also beautified by it as well. You become a loving individual. Individuals appreciate you. Individuals admire you. Other people around you, they want to be like you. Why? Because of the zinatul iman fil qalb. Because of this beautification of Iman in your heart. وَزَيَّنَهُ فِي قُلُوبِكُمْ وَكَرَّهَ إِلَيْكُمُ الْكُفْرَ وَالْفُسُوقَ وَالْعِصْيَانَ. Look how He lists things. He says, and not only that, He has beautified now. So He has made Iman loving to you, lovable to you. He has beautified your hearts with it. Number 3, He has made the kufr, hate it. Like in other words, you hate kufr. What else? Wal-fusuq, and sins. And true believers, they hate sins. They don't want to be around sinful people. They don't want to make themselves sinful or carry sin, be loaded with sin in their hearts. No, why? Because they're instructed with the light of Iman. They're instructed with the light of the Rahman. And again, I'm not saying that they are immune of sin. Only Nabi ﷺ is, right? We're talking overall here. When you see true believers, steady believers, they're guided with the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And even if they fall by a mistake or something happens that they are sinning, they hate that. And for other people, if they drink, if they commit zina, if they steal, if they do other immoralities, They have no problem with that. They don't feel يعني ما في كراهة. There is no, it's okay, I'm doing it, it's fine. I'm drinking, it's fine. It doesn't bother me. لا. وكره يعني it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who made them hate الكفر والفسوق والعصيان. Isyan is to go against the commands. If Allah says this, you go like, no, I'm going to do this. If your mentor tells you, hey, do this, nope, I do this. You follow your own nafs. I'm talking about religious, advisors, people who help others to become better. He has made, and I don't have time to go into the details, but these are very important categories that the Quran is mentioning. Al-kufr, wal-fusuq, wal-isyan. If we are away from the first two, we're still sticking with the third one. We're still sticking. A lot of people are unaware, but they are in a state of isyan, of revolting. Isyan means revolt. Going against the teachings, going against people who call them for ta'awun ala al-birri wa taqwa. Nope, we got our own mindset. Nope, you don't know anything. Nope, we know it all. Isyan, revolt. So again, these are major components that will restrain somebody, keep somebody away from doing what is right. Keep a community away from doing what is right. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is never shy, does not shy away from mentioning the reality and teaching, including His most beloved from His creation, and Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the truth, and instructing him to do justice. Because at the end, it's all about justice. It's all about doing the right thing. ونسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يجعلنا من عباده الصالحين من الفائزين في هذه الدنيا والآخرة إنه على كل شيء قدير. ألا إن أحسن الكلام وأبلغ النظام كلام الله الملك العزيز العلام كما قال الله عز وجل في الكلام بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذا قرئ القرآن فاستمعوا له وأنصتوا لعلكم ترحمون إن الدين عند الله الإسلام. أستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله حمد الكاملين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه تعظيما لنبيه وتكريما لفخامة شأن شرف صفيه. فقال عز وجل من قائل مخبرا وآمرا إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما باركت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. وارض اللهم عن ساداتنا أبي بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي وعن أهل بيت رسول الله وأصحابه الكرام والتابعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. اللهم اغفر المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات برحمتك يا قاضي الحاجات يا مجيب الدعوات. استجب دعاءنا برحمتك يا أكرم الأكرمين ويا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم طهر قلوبنا واستر عيوبنا واشف مرضانا وارحم موتانا وانصرنا على أعدائنا وانصرنا على أنفسنا يا خير الناصرين. وتقبل منا صلاتنا إنك عزيز رحيم وإنك على كل شيء قدير. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. عباد الله يقول تعالى إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي